Assalamu alaikum. Hope you people are doing very well. So, as you know, we were studying the chapter number 5, which was industry and competitors analysis. So, as you people know, that the competition and the starting of industry is very much important because we are in the journey of entrepreneurship. As you know, we are in the era of this 21st century. Industry, the study of industry will help you to flourish your business. So, in our previous lecture, we learned about industry analysis, and after that, we learned the environmental and business trends. We learned the 3 T's for industry research and the first 3 forces for the Michael Porter's model. The forces were the substitutes, the new entrants, and the rivalry. So, today we will continue with the second half of the chapter number 5. We will study the remaining 2 forces which was remained untouched in the previous lecture. We will also understand the value of that particular model, Michael Porter's model as a whole. We will look at the different industry types, and finally we will learn how to analyze the competitors. Analyzing competitor is very important because if we analyze the competitor systematically, it will help us or gives us, the complete picture of how entrepreneurs judge whether their business idea can survive in a competitive environment or not. So, let's start with the Porter's 5 forces model second half. The fourth force of the Michael Porter's model is bargaining power of suppliers. Suppliers are the people or the companies who provide you the raw material, who provide you the products or services that your businesses needs to operate. So, the key question here is that do the suppliers control you or do you control them? If there are only few suppliers in the market, then they are having, they can hold the power. They can charge high prices. They will set the strict terms. Even they can refuse to supply you. So, if there are many suppliers, the buyer, the entrepreneur has more power because you can switch from one supplier to another easily. And the factors that can increase the supplier power is when suppliers are few in number, hence you can increase the supplier power. When the product is unique or when their product is hard to replace. And the third basic reason or the factor which can increase the supplier power is when switching supplier is costly or inconvenient. Just like in textile industries, the cotton suppliers have high bargaining power. If cotton prices rises, then clothing factories have no choice but to accept that prices, since they cannot easily substitute cotton just because of that. So, reflection we got from this is that depending too much on one supplier is dangerous. Smart entrepreneurs always try to diversify their suppliers. Why? Just to reduce that risk. The next force we are studying is the bargaining power of buyers. Buyers are your customers. Their bargaining power depends on how much influence they have over your business. So, the question is that do you set the terms or do your customers set them? Right? Buyers have the strong powers when the buyers are having the strong powers when they are few but large. For example, We have a supermarket buying from the farmers. The next situation in which buyers are having the strong power, they buy in bulk. The third situation in which buyers are having the strong power, they can easily switch to another seller. So the fourth situation, the product is not very different from the competitor. For example, in dairy industries, big companies like Nestle, like Agro Food, they have strong bargaining power. They buy milk in bulk from small farmers and then they set the prices, often lower than farmers would like. So reflection is that when buyers are having the power, businesses must focus on differentiation and the customer's loyalty as well. If you are just another seller, buyers will control you. The value of Porter's 5 forces model, after studying all the 5 forces, what do we learn from that particular forces? The model tells us how attractive and profitable an industry is. If the forces are strong, the industry is competitive. If the forces are strong, the industry is risky and the profits are very low. If the forces are weak, the industry is stable with fewer risks, with better chances of success. So for entrepreneurs, this model is like a health checkup of the industry. It shows whether entering that industry is wise or whether you control look elsewhere, whether you should look elsewhere. So if we see the food delivery industries looks attractive because demand is growing, but the rivalry in the food industries is very high. Many new entrants, strong substitutes and the powerful buyers. Entrepreneurs must know this before investing. If we see, we got an idea that 5 forces model does not tell you what to do, but it warns you of the battlefield you are entering. So industry types and opportunities, if we see, so not all industries are the same. Understanding the type of industry will help an entrepreneur choose the right strategy. We have the common types of the industries. First one is emerging industries. Emerging industries are new industries created by changes in technology with change in the customer needs. Emerging industries have no clear leaders yet, so opportunities are wide open. The main challenge is uncertainty. Nobody knows which business model will dominate. If we see the fintech example, the fintech is the financial technology. It's an emerging industry. If we see the apps like Easy Paisa, like Jazz Cash, they are shaping how people transfer the money. And the lesson we got from that particular industries is entrepreneurs in emerging industries should focus on innovation. And experimenting with that particular new innovation or the solutions. So the next we have fragmented industries. These industries have many small players and no single big leader. Competition is spread out and no firm controls the market. Opportunity lies in the consolidation, merging the small operations or building a brand that stand out. For example, we have the beauty salon industry. Every city has hundreds of small salons, but very few national chains. So entrepreneurs can succeed here by creating franchises, by creating the unique brands. So the last we have the mature industries. These industries are very stable, but are having the slow growth. So competition is based more on efficiency, more on cost cutting rather than innovation. But the challenge is here is that standing out in a crowd but stable market. If we see the cement industry companies compete mainly on price and reliability. And what was the lesson which we can get from this story is, example is, success in mature industries requires operational efficiency. It requires customer trust, not the wild innovation. Last but not the least, after emerging industries, after fragmented industries, we have declining industries. Declining industries are those type of industries, these are actually the shrinking industries where the customer's demand is falling just because the new technology or the changing habits of the customers make old products irrelevant. As you know, we have the DVD rental shops with Netflix, with YouTube. This industry has almost disappeared. Why? The lesson, what was that lesson? Only entrepreneurs with very unique needs like collector's items can survive here. Otherwise, it is better to avoid that. So the last we have global industries. These industries operate worldwide and competition comes from across the globe. Standards are high, survivals require competing at international level. If you see the smartphone manufacturing, Pakistan mostly imports, but local players face heavy global competition. And what we have learned from this is that competing in global industries requires scale, quality, and strong branding. So the next we are going to discuss the competitors analysis. Even if you understand the industry or if you understand your industry, you cannot ignore your competitor, So customers always compare. If a rival offers better value, they will switch, definitely. So competitor analysis is actually the process of identifying who your rivals are, what they are doing, and how you can do better, right? So first step to understand the competitor is identifying the competitor. Who is your competitor? The first step is to define your product. First step is to define your service clearly. Once you know exactly what you are offering, you can ask who else is trying to satisfy the same customer's need, right? So some competitors are obvious, like the two ride-hailing apps. Others are hidden, like free YouTube tutorials competing with the tuition centers. So a good entrepreneur makes a complete list of all businesses, current and potential, that could take customers away. If you launch an online fitness app in Pakistan, for example, so your competitors are not only other apps but also the gyms, the local trainers, and even the simple option of jogging in the park. Right? If we see the types of different competitors, we can say that competitors can be grouped into the three types. Direct competitors, right? So who is the direct competitor of your product? Who will sell the same or a very similar product or service? For example, if you know the Cream versus Uber in the ride-hailing services app, they both are the direct competitors. Next, we have the indirect competitors. Indirect competitors offers the different product but solve the same needs. For example, Careem versus Metrobus or Bikeia all solve the transport problems but in different ways, right? So the next we have the future competitors. Future competitors, they are not in the market yet, but they are likely to enter in the market in the future. For example, a new startup planning to launch ride-hailing in smaller Pakistani cities. It will become your future competitor. So direct competitors fight for the same customer, but indirect competitor can be more dangerous because they may offer a cheaper, faster, more convenient solutions, right? So if we see the sources of competitive intelligence, so the book you are following emphasizes that competitor information must be gathered legally and ethically. If you want to get the information regarding your competitor, you must gather it legally and ethically. Entrepreneurs don't need to spy. They can collect plenty of data from open sources, company websites, brochures, annual reports, if it is public, you know. So the customer reviews and feedback on the social media platforms, you can get from this as well. We have the trade shows and exhibitions where the businesses present their products. You can get from that particular information from there. We have the industry publications and the reports like Aurora, like Pasha, reports in Pakistan. Networking and word of mouth. This is also another source from the suppliers and the distributors and even from the customers. For example, a new clothing brand in Lahore can learn a lot by simply reading customer comments on Gul Ahmed or Khadi's Facebook, Instagram. You know, the Facebook or Instagram pages will give them information. Customers openly share their complaints and suggestions there. So if we complete the competitors analysis grid. So competitor analysis grid is actually the table comparing your business with your competitor's brand. You know, and what are that particular features on the basis of which your competitor is, comparing it. So this tool shows where you are stronger. These features basically will show you that where you are stronger, where you are weaker, and where opportunities are existing. So if we see the typical criteria, it includes the price, the quality, the customer service, the technology, the distribution, the brand reputation. We have the new online grocery delivery startup. It might compare itself with the Metro Online. If we see the Panda Mart, so it might, new online grocery delivery startup app might compare itself with the Panda Mart, with the Carrefour, with the Cheetah Online. Delivery speed, price of essentials, range of products, customer service ratings. Last but not the least is technology, apps, payment options. So this will help the startups to see if it should compete on the price, if it should compete on the speed, or if it should compete on the customer experience. So with this ending, we are going to complete the chapter number 5, which was industry or competitor analysis. In our next lecture, upcoming lecture, we will study how entrepreneurs will identify the opportunities and how they will conduct the feasibility analysis before starting any new venture or any new business. Thank you so much.